Okay, so it seems like recently there's been a little bit of a situation going on with the NTE stuff, and obviously we've talked about all of the initial kind of responses from the VTubers themselves. Now, again, in the last video we covered some responses from people like Shylily, and also going over some of the other VTubers that were sponsored by it and probably didn't know about some of the AI assets that were involved within the game. And we also covered the fact that NTE did respond and that they were making changes to change that, and it seems like they have now added placeholder images in place of the kind of stuff that they had in there before. But essentially, there was a lot of VTubers who were sponsored or were just playing the game as well, including people like Shylily and ironmouse, who obviously Shylily ended up ending her stream early due to this, and obviously ironmouse ended up just cancelling or dropping the sponsor altogether, right? And of course, it is a pretty interesting topic whenever we go into, you know, the kind of other aspects of this, because there's been a lot of people that have been kind of counterpointing this, which I think is actually very interesting and obviously brings up a really good point in the sense of, you know, what's going on. Now, we're going to play this clip once again, just to kind of remind you guys exactly on what Shylily has said, because there is one specific line that I think a lot of people have been a little bit confused about. And yeah, obviously we're going to speed up a little bit as well, so it doesn't waste all your time. But here it is.
Close with artists. Very close. If you're upset that I am against something, or rather that I want to end my stream, I want to look into if this game has AI or not before sitting here promoting this game, if you want to stop supporting me because of that, and that's just how it is, I don't know what to tell you. It's sad, but that's your opinion. If a difference in opinion is gonna make you go, like if my hostility towards potential Gen AI is creating hostility and friction with you in terms of supporting me, then that's just how it is. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not gonna, yeah, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I'm a VTuber.
That there's a difference between NPC AI and AI image generation. This shouldn't even be a debate, Shine.
Yeah, I think also people don't understand like what part of AI is the problem here. Like, yeah, you said just now, I have no problem with NPC generated AI dialogue and whatnot, whatever. You know, if it makes a good story, I don't fucking know. I think the problem people don't realize is, imagine you work on something, you create a thing, hard work and effort, and then someone comes along and they grab thousands of whatever people make, so they can sell that stuff for profit without your permission at all whatsoever?
So yeah, that's essentially the point that she's making, right? And that little bit in the middle, obviously, is what a lot of people have been talking about, which is the fact of her kind of pointing out the differences between image generation AI and, of course, like AI to do with like NPCs and stories and stuff like that, right? And again, I do think it's one of these things where people are kind of going like, hey, you're either all in or you're all out, because, you know, kind of being like half and half isn't good, because of course all of it is just AI at the end of the day, right? And I think a lot of people would be a lot more happier if either she was all, you know, like everything AI bad or everything AI good, right? I think that's what people are kind of like hoping for. But yeah, obviously there's been a couple of comments here, for example, saying my problem with what she has said is right after she said that she's not okay with it being used for art, she says it's fine with dialogue and story. Artists losing their jobs is a no-no, but writers losing their jobs is okay with her. Really? Double standard. And obviously, yeah, that's something that people have been bringing up. And obviously people said, I wonder if she was very close with programmers, would she say the same thing then for programmers? Which obviously, yeah, I think that is something that is, you know, kind of interesting, right? People said it's fine. She doesn't think writing dialogue is hard work or effort, contextually speaking. I wish people were up in arms about stuff as societally hurts more, like H1B, student loans, yeah, obviously talk about other stuff. But again, you know, I think it is a valid point. A lot of people are saying like, hey, what about the writers and the people that go into the NPCs and stuff like that, right? Because usually 9 times out of 10, if you're doing an NPC using AI, a lot of the time that they will use AI voice acting as well, because they can synthesize that AI generated response, right? So, you know, obviously one of the big points is they're thinking of like making, you know, in games in general, right? They're thinking of kind of like adding NPCs that are able to actually interact with you on a better level than like the kind of pre-coded ones. Because obviously, you know, in games like this, right, it's usually just like, you know, you select like 3 dialogue options and usually they don't even matter and they just give you the same voice line anyways. Whereas they're hoping with like some AI generated stuff, it could be kind of cool because of course they could you know, kind of give you a unique answer. And of course, well, a voice actor isn't going to be able to record all of those unique answers. So it might end up being the fact that, hey, you know, they might end up using AI for the voice actors too. So not only is it the writers, but it's the voice actors, and it just kind of doesn't really make sense, right? And obviously, me personally, I think that, yeah, obviously AI could improve a lot of kind of, you know, gameplay aspects like NPCs and stuff like that. And as I said in all of my videos, I don't really care too much about either way on AI, on literally anything, even image or video, right? I don't think the images and videos look, you know, very good, especially videos. I think it's still got a very long way to go. So that's why I don't like it personally now. But obviously, you know, it's going to get better, of course. So, you know, maybe in the future I'll be kind of saying different things, right? But essentially, you know, a lot of people have been kind of pointing out these kind of what you call it, inconsistencies with the arguments that they have been giving, as well as with like people like ironmouse too, saying, well, isn't that funny? Of course, they're talking about ironmouse and promoting a new Honkai gacha game, which obviously, yeah, saying, you know, chat, I'm in the game. And you can see here 2D art, AI focus. And if you don't know, MiHoYo has a very big AI kind of, you know, heavy thing right going on. Now, of course, they don't make it as obvious within the game, whatever, and I'm pretty sure a lot of it is used in the kind of pre-production phases, but they still are very heavily relying on AI to, you know, do certain things, right? Saying launching AI specific recruitment programs for the Honkai IP, right? And they've, yeah, got like 2D art, AI focused, you know, people like job, what do you call it? Job job listings. That's it, job listings and job openings for people to use AI within MiHoYo. And if you didn't know as well, Kai Haoyu, one of the big executives over at MiHoYo, actually also has his own AI company. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people maybe aren't as into gacha games or whatever. I've talked about this a lot, obviously, you know, as I used to make gacha game content. You know, Kai Haoyu literally has his own AI studio, and obviously tons of VTubers still cover that game. Tons of VTubers still cover, you know, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zelda Zone Zero, all of that kind of stuff, and all of it has AI trickled into it in some way, shape, or form, right? It's had it's touched it at least you know, a little bit, and of course they are still going to play it. But whenever it comes to a game like NTE, apparently it's different, right? And again, a lot of people are struggling to see the difference between, struggling to see why it is different and why they think it is different, because at the end of the day, it really isn't, to be honest. They are both using AI within their kind of projects. Just one is a little bit more in your face than the other, right? So a lot of people have been arguing that. People say lol. So the clip highlighted her is her joking about how much she looks like the character in the game. She does express that she's going to play it, but according to Twitch tracker, she never did. But she did play Honkai Star Rail there, as you can see. Game streamed by ironmouse, as well as Honkai Impact 3rd. Both MiHoYo games that obviously use AI in pre-production phases, right? Or at least as far as I know, these pre-production phases using AI. Saying, folks say there is a single VTuber at this point that isn't some sort of performative virtue signaling hypocrite, which obviously is crazy. They're well, shocker. So yeah, obviously a lot of people have been calling that out too, and I think a lot of gacha games and a lot of games in general use it, right? People have been calling out ironmouse for her doing, you know, the whole Expedition 33 covers and stuff. Whenever that used AI pretty publicly as well for a lot of their pre-production phases too. So again, it just becomes this whole thing of like, you know, why are we even arguing for NTE at this point when, you know, you're playing all of these games anyways, right? It doesn't really matter at this point. But obviously we all know it's because NTE has blown up in the sense of, you know, this drama has blown up so massively that, you know, a lot of the VTubers are now trying to save, you know, their kind of reputations and whatever, because this one is so publicly, you know, AI, you know, it so publicly includes AI that, you know, people will be calling them out if they play the game, right? Whereas, you know, something like Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, or any of these other games that potentially use AI in the pre-production phases, people don't call it out because it's not as obvious. As I said, it's in pre-production. Nobody knows if it's generally in there, but it's pretty obvious from a lot of the job listings that they've got going on that they are experimenting with it in some kind of way. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting, right? And also, finally, there has been this other tweet from Powder saying VTubers are okay with LLMs, but not image generation AI. what's the argument there? And obviously, yeah, there's been a lot of people talking about that too. For example, like creators like Neurosama, right? Obviously, a lot of VTubers have done collaborations with Neuro. What is the difference between Neuro and generative AI? Now, there are some differences, of course, in terms of like the data sets and stuff apparently that they use. But I do think at the same time as well, you know, I think it is pretty funny that they would interact with something like Neurosama, but obviously with NTE, apparently that's the biggest problem, which obviously I think it is pretty crazy. That I've had VTubers telling me, yeah, I'm against AI art, but I use it for writing because it's just writing. That me, a writer, right? They said, yeah, I'm trying to understand if they're consistent or if there's a deeper argument here. It feels like kind of surface level and performative, which, yeah, I do think is true. Some of this does seem very performative, and not even necessarily performative, but more so like saving their job, right? Because a lot of people will get mad because we all know the communities that a lot of these VTubers are in, right? They are very heavily anti-AI, and if they say like, oh, actually, guys, I don't think it's that bad, they're going to get a ton of hate, right? So I can understand it from that kind of perspective, but that is the community that they've built up, right? But of course, it does feel kind of performative to a sense because, you know, on the one hand, they're arguing against AI being used for art, but as soon as it comes to writing, as soon as it comes to literally anything else, apparently, you know, that doesn't matter because it's not a real creative process, right? So again, I do find that kind of crazy, and I think that is the main thing that people are kind of calling out at the moment is the kind of, I guess, inconsistency between AI being used, you know, in their opinion on AI being used for art and AI being used for stuff like writing and you know, NPCs and stuff that, you know, still requires someone to do a job, right? And still has a purpose, you know, from a human, right? A human still has a purpose to make it, but apparently it doesn't matter as much to them as artists. So again, I think it's more so about people want to be consistent. I don't even think it's necessarily about people you know, wanting them to accept AI and being like, oh, you know, you guys have to like AI now. No, I think it's more so about being consistent, because I think they wouldn't have half of this backlash if they were consistent with their views and said, I hate AI altogether. I hate it, you know, in images. I hate it using in text. I hate it being used for NPCs. I hate it for this and that. Then I think it would be more consistent and people would understand it a little bit more. But of course, we have these kind of conflicting opinions, and even Shylily within this clip mentions, you know, other forms of AI being used within it, which obviously doesn't make things look so great, right? And I can understand why they are getting a lot of backlash for that. But again, obviously, we have to wait and see what kind of happens with that. I mean, at the end of the day, it is just the kind of debate that has been going around. I don't think it's going to, you know, really lead to anything, or, you know, I don't think any of these people are going to get cancelled or whatever you want to call it. Of course not. But I think it is just an interesting topic to talk about regarding the whole NTE stuff, because it seems like a lot of the views are pretty inconsistent in terms of what creative job they are talking about, right? But yeah, that's about all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.